Hello and welcome to episode 175 of Gamers of the Lost Spark podcast. I'm your host, Antony, and joining me this week, it's the other Spark on the pod. He's the Dolby Atmos poster boy. It's Mr. Stuart Burgess. Hello, sir. How you doing?
Good evening, young man. Good evening. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad at all. And speaking of Dolby Atmos, you're coming live from your awesome demo room.
Yeah, well, I'm coming live from my office outside the demo room because as we were just chatting on the pod, I might actually fall asleep if I sat in my comfy recliners in my cinema. But I'm coming from new locations today, so 15 minutes up the road, but better broadband speed.
Yes,
and right next to the little gym I have up here at the office. So luckily we haven't got not smelly sound or smelly cast.
Smelly vision.
Yes, no, a smelly. Yeah, you have smelly cast or smelly vision because you wouldn't want to be in the same room as him at the moment after an hour on the bike.
Nice. That just kind of paints a nice picture for people's eyes and noses.
Exactly.
Superb. Stu, what have you been up to this week? How's things in Stew world?
It's cool. Yeah, busy with work. Weekend. I'm trying to think what we did at the weekend. I think we had a pretty chill out homely weekend. Actually, I know what we did. We actually, my daughter had an assignment to do some South American stuff. So on Saturday, we were hunting around for a South American cake.
Right,
and so we came across this. It was like a milk cake.
Okay.
And it was basically, so I went out to Sainsbury's, other supermarkets are included, and bought the bits and pieces, and then on Sunday we sort of whipped it up, and it was a bit like a Victoria Sponge mix, which you sort of laid in a square tin, but then when it was just as it was 10 minutes out of the oven, you basically dotted loads of holes in it, and then you put on it a milk mixture. Now this milk mixture, right? If you want calories, this thing is calorified.
Yeah.
It was full cream milk, double cream, condensed milk, and evaporated milk.
That's like all the milks.
All the milks. And man, was this like a real sweet Indian cup of tea sort of thing without the tea. But so you sort of tip it over and then you leave it in the fridge for it to sort of set-ish. Yeah. So then we sort of picked that out in the morning, chopped it into squares. Anyway, long story short, daughter went off to school because they sort of hand it out. And she came back with some. And my wife was like, let's just bin it. And I'm like, no, you've got to try it. And she's like, no, I seriously don't want to try that. I said, look, leave it, because she's 9 years old. If she doesn't get to try a piece of her own cake, she's going to throw a wobbly in the morning. And of course, you don't feed cake to a child before they go to bed because they'll be awake for hours. It'll be like Antony in a couple of weeks when he's flying out to Star Wars. He'll just be bouncing around Heathrow.
Nicola learnt the hard way that you don't feed me cake. I'm like a gremlin. You don't feed me cake after midnight.
But it was. But I tried a little bit with a cup of tea, sort of like before I went to bed. Ironically, it was fine for me, but not for a 9-year-old or you. And I gotta say, it was bloody delicious. It was like a it's like a Madeira cake. So it wasn't as soft as a Victoria Sponge. But James would be so proud I'm talking about baking on the pod.
Yes.
It wasn't like a Victoria Sponge. It was a bit more dense, like a Madeira cake. But rather than icing, it had this sort of like milky mixture around it. It was sort of like clinging to it, like barbecued chicken. And I don't think you could eat much of it, but it was really nice. I didn't go to sleep till 2 a.m. because I was wired, but it was really nice.
It sounds lovely. I was wondering if it kind of... Oh, yeah, that sounds bizarre. I was wondering if it tastes like a bit like kind of rice pudding or something like that, but it kind of sounds like it...
A lot sweeter.
More kind of, kind of like icing. So who was the cool kid who brought the piñata? Should be wearing Viva Pinata t-shirts and bring a pinata if it's South American themed.
I should have made a pinata rainbow cake or something like that, shouldn't I? But no, it was
That's really cool.
It was quite funny actually, because we're quite strict to the rules. We were googling, Latin America, South America cakes, and they were all sort of tiramisus and all that type of cake, and we're like, you can't give a 9-year-old a tiramisu type of cake to serve up because it's going to go everywhere. It's got to be a sponge type cake. But then, you know, people were coming in with like a pineapple upside down cake, and like, don't think that's South American. So I think the rules were being bent slightly. But nevertheless, Molly's come home with cake all this week, so she's quite enjoying it at the moment.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's she's loving it. I mean, well, she just moved school, so we've just moved her school, and this one seems to be a lot more focused on her education and you know, pushing the kids. So and obviously lots of cake, so it's a win-win for everybody.
Sounds like a good move. That just sounds really good. It's quite interesting actually. Nicola sent me a picture today. So we're both on diets, obviously, because you know, holidays coming up. And the librarian at her firm, it was her birthday today, and they moved offices a couple of months ago. So previously, when it was her birthday, she used to make a cake for the library people. You know, she would make one cake. But now that they don't have like little individual kitchens, they just have one communal area. She had to make cakes for the entire firm, and this woman made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 different kinds of cakes.
Wow.
With everything from chocolate brownie to carrot cakes to a coffee cake to a really nice looking fruit cake that I was going to ask Nicola to bring a slice home. But, you know, like, because we're both like on diets, Nicola said she just sat there and had her satsuma. You know, everyone else was kind of like, so it's just like, but I couldn't believe it. This woman like made like 13 different cakes to bring in.
That's devoted. I think I would have just gone to. I'm trying to think
M&S.
of cake. Yeah, I would have just gone to I've gone to a cake shop in Tunbridge Wells, or just to M&S and bought a load of cupcakes or something like that. Or got the Krispy Kreme. Just bought the Krispy Kreme, bought a load of donuts.
Exactly. Yeah, bought 4 boxes of donuts and just left them out. But Nicola said, she goes, when the email went around, it was just like a herd, like a stampede.
Yeah.
Was going into, because they're right by the communal area, by the hub. I think it's called the hub. And she said you could just hear people like rampage kind of coming down to get this cake, and it was gone in a flash.
It's almost like when I do presentations to architects. You generally go in at lunchtime, and it's funny because you have about 70 people all come through and shake your hand, how you doing, grab a sandwich, and then you end up with 15 people sitting there listening to you, and you're like, you've all just come because there's free sandwiches. You know, I'm busy. I'll catch up with you later. Oh, send me the information. It's like, no, you're just coming to eat my free sandwiches. Sit down. I want to talk to you about smart homes.
Exactly. You're not moving. You can't move anywhere. So was Molly helping you cook this milk cake?
Yeah. Well, in all fairness, I mean, I can get away without saying it because I'm not in the same building as them. But Kate did most of it because I had to sort of. I was doing a quote from the kitchen table, shouting commands, and then every now and again getting up and giving them a hand. So so obviously I was instrumental in the baking of this cake, and so all the credit goes to me. But no, it's one of the hardest things actually. We both find it difficult letting your daughter do it. Because we're both control freaks. It's a bit like, I've always said I'll never be able to teach her how to drive, because I'd stop at the set of traffic lights and say, get out, just get out, I'll do it, we'll get there quicker if I do it. And that's one of my biggest weaknesses. So it is very hard as a parent standing by letting your child go with a knife, you know, a nice big global knife, chopping up a banana or something like that. But you know, they've got to do it, you know. But no, it's I think she thoroughly enjoys it, you know. Like every kid, all they want to do is lick out the cake bowl at the end of it. So
absolutely. There used to be a line when my mum was cooking cakes. There would be a line waiting for that. You know, the spoon. You knew in the pecking order. You know, who got the spoon, who got the bowl, and who got the whisk. You know, it was just like you could tell who was the favourite of the day. You know, I always got the whisk. My sister, who was a princess, always got the bowl. Not that I'm bitter or I've got any. I was going to say
the whisk is always the painful one because you get to try and get your tongue in there and you never quite get all of it off.
And she had a little head; she could get it right in there. Anyway, so that sounds like a really cool weekend. Sounds like a really cool thing for the school to set, and like a really nice little kind of bonding thing for the whole family. Sounds really cool.
No, it is. We're trying to get more baking and more cooking because you know I like cooking at the weekend and doing some stuff and you know flipping around, trying some different recipes. So yeah, that was my weekend. What have you been up to?
Well, I've still been cataloguing and messing around with all my kind of retro consoles. So I've been cataloguing, back and boarding all of my comic books. That's done now. So that's all in the eaves. All of those comic books are just bagged, board, and kind of lovely. And I'm feeling very happy about kind of them. They're all safe and secure. I still don't know what to do with them. I want to keep them, but at the same time, they're taking up a lot of space. So I then went on to kind of making sure what consoles were working, and this was such a fun Saturday. So Nicola was upstairs getting kind of like sorting out t-shirts for the holiday and all of that malarkey, and I was literally like downstairs looking at every single. So what I did was I grab a console, work out what wires I needed for that console, like N64, GameCube, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast, all of that sort of stuff. And then I would then kind of try and plug it into the TV, which is always fun. And because I have no SCART leads on anything, but luckily I had a converter, or I had some kind of digital cables, and then just literally like firing it up, patching it if I needed to patch it. I think the Nintendo Wii needed a patch. The Wii U, I was starting playing with the Wii U, and like that kind of needed a bit of a patch. I think it was the Wii U, not the Wii U that needed a patch before I could play Super Mario Galaxy 2. And then I was just like, but my favourite was just like firing up the Dreamcast and the Saturn and just kind of like playing around with those. But it was just so much fun. So that was like Saturday, just like kind of just taken up by just kind of messing around with all of these different kind of consoles, and it was so much fun. So we've got some doubles, like we've got a couple of N64s, we've got a couple of GameCubes and stuff like that. So I'm going to get rid of the double and just have one of each. Just kind of, so we've got like 2 or 3 Xbox 360s. I've got the big old beefy day one Xbox. So there's a few that I'm going to send off to Music Magpie. And just kind of send that way, because they even take Music Magpie like GameCubes and N64s and things like that as well. So they take retro consoles as well.
Oh, you've got a good point actually, because I forgot, because I sometimes get some stuff off and send some stuff into them. But I'm starting to think that, because I've got my OG Xbox One, and then I've got the S, the white one, and then I've got the 2 Project Scorpios. I ended up getting rid of the Gears 5 one that I bought, because typically it's a bit like when you go to buy a new car and your car is coughing and spluttering and it's letting you down and all this stuff. And then the day you go and buy a new car, it's perfect. It runs like it's never run before. And my Project Scorpio at home was starting to play up on me. Right. So I bought the Gears 5 one. And then ever since Gears 5 one sat in the kitchen, down by the table going, I'm here, it hasn't put a foot wrong, the other one. So I deliberated and cogitated about it, and I thought, we've only got 12 months, or less than 12 months now until the new Xbox. So it's like, no, I'll get rid of it. I know I can get sort of $350 for it. So, but I've got at least two. I think I might even have 3 Xbox consoles that I just want to get. I'm going to get rid of. Actually, I was going to chuck them on eBay, but you never really get a good price on there anymore. So I know trading them into Music Magpie you don't get as much, but it's quick and easy. You haven't got to faff around so much, have you?
Absolutely. Like I say, it's quite funny actually, because I did the S. So I had an S in the living room. Yeah. I just had an S in the living room, and I said to Nicola, I'm going to have to get rid of that soon, because obviously, with the new consoles coming out. And she was like, good, I've never liked it where it was anyway. And I was like, I thought you liked it. It was white. It matched the cupboard. But she was like, no, I've never really liked it there anyway. I want to put a vase or something there. So we just decided to kind of get rid of that. So I kind of fired it up, made sure, kind of updated it, made sure I kind of wiped it completely, and then kind of bubble wrapped it, and then kind of packaged it off to Music Magpie, and it was cool. And they also have codes at the moment where you can, in January, where you get like an extra 15% as well, so which is quite cool.
I've got one sitting up there, I think, by the side of me, so I think I might grab that and take that home with me and do that at the weekend. So that's my Saturday job taken care of.
There you go. See, look at that. It's an informative as well as fun podcast. So that, I mean, like I say, I just absolutely loved just kind of like getting stuck into my comic books. It made me kind of want to. I started reading a lot of them as well on Saturday. I've picked up my favourite comic book again. It's kind of my favourite graphic novel of kind of all time. It is a graphic novel called Zenith, and it was in 2000 AD, so it was in the pages of 2000 AD over many years. For 2000 AD, for those people who are maybe old enough, or those people who are young enough not to remember it, 2000 AD still going. It was a weekly comic that used to come out, so I used to get it every week. So Zenith was probably about 4 or 5 pages a week. And so you'd have like 4 or 5 pages a week, and the stories span 50, so it was just 10 weeks.
Wow.
And then you'd have to wait a year for the next part, and it was just crazy. So I've bought it digitally, and I also have a collector's edition, and it's written by Grant Morrison, who has written some of the greatest Batman stories. He has a TV show called Lucky at the moment on Netflix, which is just bonkers and amazing. But it's called Zenith, and it's really funny. It's about superheroes. They're kind of super powered people, and the main character Zenith is like an 80s rock star. So you kind of imagine him as a kind of like a Robbie Williams, but with powers. He's a real douchebag at the start of this thing, and it's just hilarious. And reading it back then in the 80s, I probably didn't get all the references, but now I'm probably on about my 8th or 9th read of it, and I just absolutely love it. So I found a couple of graphic novels that when I was going through my list, I was like, oh, Zenith. And then that night I was just like, Nicola went to bed, and I just sat there reading Zenith, and it was just like, it was glorious. I think
the thing is, I'm still not a massive fan of digital reading. It's sort of like I advertise with one of the businesses I'm involved in. We advertise every month in Home Cinema Choice magazine, right. And actually, if anybody wants to see the install I did in East Sussex, not a million miles away from where Antony is, I think that's going in the March issue of Home Cinema Choice. So pick that up. But I subscribe to that as a magazine because I do like to read it as a magazine. So yeah. I think it's great having your graphic novels and your magazines and your news on your iPads and your devices. But there is nothing like, especially I can imagine with the comics, there's nothing like, you wouldn't get that same experience if you had them digitally, even if you just chuck them back up in the attic and you don't go back to them for 10 years, or if you move or whatever like that whole excitement of just flicking through them and forgetting you had that issue, or, as you said, I think it was last week, you were saying about, flicking through and seeing adverts for things, from like back in the 80s and 90s, that's just, I mean, we were, the site we're working at the moment, there was an AV, I can't think what it's called now, it was an AV magazine upstairs, because this client of mine, he's a massive hi-fi geek, and loves it. And me and Simon were just flicking through a magazine, and it was like, they were talking about, the latest S-video connectors, and you look at the back of the amps, and there wasn't a digital input or an HDMI in sight. It was all RCA phonos, and there may be one optical SPDIF, but it was all sort of like gold and gold plated connectors, and actually it was just hilarious, just flicking back through it, and it was hilarious, but also quite nostalgic and quite fun.
I mean, you say that one of the things that I got rid of that came out of my storage was a DVD player. I had so many Blu-ray players, like 3D and all that, but there was a DVD player and an amp. It was a Marantz DV600, which at that point was like, it came from Audio T. At that point, it was like a real high-end DVD player, and a Marantz amp as well. And there wasn't, like I say, there was no HDMI on the back of that. It was all just like, but they were still perfectly preserved and absolutely gorgeous. They were just like so lovely. It was so lovely. It was kind of, but yeah. So I just love it. So I've still got a few boxes left in the living room that's driving Nicola bonkers. But I'm going to get rid of those this weekend. I've got to get rid of it before we go away on holiday. So that's kind of that's my promise, is kind of get rid of that. But anyway, let's jump into what we've been playing. Stu, what have you been playing, sir?
I went back to a game that I was playing over the Christmas break. Sorry to still talk about Christmas. It's nearly February. But there was one of the games that I came across on my achievement hunting.
Right.
I came across it on one of the videos where someone was sort of talking about Game Pass games, and they were going, they sort of put up saying, this is an easy achievement game, but it will take you 6 or 7 hours. But it's actually a really good game, and it was called Riverbond, and the only way I can describe it is it's almost as if it was made either by Minecraft or in the Minecraft world. So it was very pixely, very blocky. It was a sort of like I don't know how it was a little bit like American Fugitive, where it wasn't on side, it wasn't on the top, it was sort of almost on the side at an angle. But it was just a cool little game. There was you were this little character, and basically you are unlocked skins. So you could be a princess, you could be a squirrel, you could be a bunny, you could be, I think you could be a taco. And then you went through different weapons, and you went through about 3 or 4 worlds per level, and everyone was different, and then you had to do things in this world, and some of the bosses were quite simple, some of them were quite hard, and then you always went to an end boss. And the end boss was always a strategic sort of like, my daughter was watching me going, just kill it, Dad, just kill it. I said, no, you can't. You've got to shoot it, then run around the other side of like the arena, wait for it to catch you up, and for your like gun to reload. And then as you went through the levels, you found, okay, this gun works better on this people, this gun works better on that person. So, I mean, I think it must have taken me about 6 or 7 hours, but it was another one of those nice little, one of those nice little easy but challenging games, but it wasn't a Call of Duty or a Control which you really had to sit down and think about. It had some challenging things. Half of it was not falling off the edge of the world, and then it had some like find the hidden cave on the desert level and things like this. And but it was just a really good little game.
Yeah, no, I jumped into that because that was on Xbox. Right? It was a Game Pass. I jumped into that, I think, and it's really interesting because that kind of voxel look that you have on that kind of, I just think it works so well.
Yeah.
It looks so good on the Xbox Game Pass, and it's quite interesting because one of the games that I've been playing this week is Touryst, and Touryst has, if you see Touryst, if you look at Touryst, which is on Switch, and there's a demo of it, which is kind of available. If you look at Touryst, it's Touryst. You'll see that it looks just like Riverbond.
Oh, really?
And it's that kind of isometric voxel action adventure where Riverbond is more kind of hack and slash but real good fun. This is more of kind of an action adventure kind of puzzle game where you have to kind of go and do quests and things like that. But it has that same voxel look that Riverbond has as well.
Yes, because you put a picture up. Yeah, you put a picture up on WhatsApp the other day, didn't you? I'm looking at it now. Yeah, it's very, very similar, but looks really, really quite cool.
The demo that's up on Switch right now, the free demo, it's very short, and it just kind of gives you a taste of kind of the puzzles that you need to do. So you need to be able to go in, get something. So in order to go and get something, you've got to go and kind of collect some coins, and then you've got to do a task, and once you've done that task, and once you've solved a puzzle, you then kind of jump on and you're given another task to do, and you jump on your boat to go to another island, and that's where the demo ends. So it's very quick, it gives you a real taster, but it's only about, I think it was about £17 on Switch. So, and I had about £5 or £6 in Nintendo coins already, so I just kind of cashed those in for it. I think because I bought ukulele for the flight and stuff, so I just kind of cashed that in, so I got it for £10 or something like that, and it was so that's the Touryst, and it looks really cool, it looks really good, but it's very similar to kind of what the same kind of graphical style as Riverbond.
So are you saving that for the plane? Are you saving that to play on holiday?
I don't know. I'm going up to Manchester on Thursday, so I might kind of have a play of Touryst kind of then and kind of just check it out, because we're playing ukulele on the plane, so we've both got ukulele. So Nicola has I backed it on Kickstarter, so Nicola has my backer's copy kind of downloaded, so I just kind of bought it from the Switch library. But it's just so we're doing that, so that's kind of the game we're playing together kind of on there, so that should be good. So I might just crack this open on Thursday and maybe chat a bit more about it next week.
How was your did you do London or Manchester the other day with your PS Vita?
I did London. I did London. Yes, and it was good. I was playing Patapon. I was playing Lumines, and I was just having a whale of a time with my Vita. So it's one of those ones where that's not going to go into any of those Music Magpie boxes because I kind of want to keep it. Because I tell you something, it's a gorgeous handheld. I mean, I know everybody knows. Probably everyone listening going, yeah, we know. But it's just like it's really cool. So I played it going up. And then as you saw from that picture, I played Touryst, kind of coming back, but it was good fun.
Wasn't Patapon 2 in the news today? I thought, wasn't it? Was it Patapon?
Yes, Patapon 2 remastered. Is coming out. It's coming out on Friday.
Yeah,
I think it's Thursday or Friday. So it's coming out on Thursday or Friday. So yeah, that's coming out in 4K. So it's a remastered version on the PS4, coming out in 4K because before it was on Vita.
Right.
And it's coming out in 4K, looking very shiny.
Let's have a look. It was. I was listening to a podcast earlier where the person was very, very excited that it was coming out.
Yes, and I think Greg Miller willed it into existence. I think
it was funny because I did listen to the podcast this morning on my way to London. It was like I think it was his best day ever. Die now, I'm happy sort of thing. It got me intrigued, and then I sort of delved through a couple of news articles today and saw it, and it sort of intrigued me a bit. So I might fire up the old PS and have a play of that.
It's quite cool. It's I remember Nicola playing loads of that. It's like a rhythm game, so you basically have to kind of you do commands, and they're kind of they're kind of you get your little patapon and they're all chanting, and you're almost playing drums to kind of make them do things. Okay. So you're like pom pom patapon will make them walk or attack, or then you go pata pom pom, and then they'll start attacking, and you kind of do that. So you've got to kind of get it on the beat, and then they will attack, and it's just really cool. It was a really cool game. It was really kind of it was a great kind of handheld game. So it'd be interesting to see what it looks like kind of on the PS4. Ooh. So what else have you been doing in Riverbond? So have you kind of got through that story now? Because I think I just jumped to all the different worlds because you got achievements by doing that.
You started every time you started an episode, you or a world, you got Achievo. So I've completed it, 100%ed it. There's You can go into, there is sort of like a communal area at the beginning you can go into where there's actually quite a lot of uniforms or skins in there you can get. But it was just one of those games where I'm thinking like I want to play it all. And actually as it went on, it did actually get harder, and it was quite challenging in a few bits. But I did sort of mop up a few achievements the other day, but I have gone through and completed the last level. There was one I had to look on Google. Excuse me, one I had to look on Google for. And it was sort of talk to such and such, and I was like, okay, I talk to everybody because I looked at the achievement list and I was like, and it was like, talk to, Smoking Sam or something like that. And it was like, okay, so I've got to make sure I talk to everybody, even to the point where you're going up against a boss and there's like 5 people around the arena and the boss is shooting you and you're like, but I've got to talk to them, and you're like running over going, hello, no, you're not, hello, no, hello, no, and so you're running around, and actually just none of those were people you needed to talk to, so you don't have to worry about it.
Right.
But so that was the only one I had to look up. But no, 1,100 Chivos I think it had. So I did that as part of my Chivo hunting. Or finishing my achievement hunting, but a little bit like last week. I mean, I think work's been really busy, so I haven't had a huge amount of time to sort of jump into things, and I need to fire the Xbox up and have another look-see and see what's going on. But what else? Have you been playing anything else?
I have. Last week on Game Pass. Now, last week I was kind of sitting on the pod and I was talking about the game. I want to get a game that's kind of going to keep me interested for until I go away on holiday for a good couple of weeks, and I've found that game. I have found that game, and then some. The game I'm playing is a game called A Plague Tale, Innocence, Innocence, and A Plague Tale that came to Game Pass. So I thought, it's in Game Pass, nothing to lose. That old adage, the only thing you're kind of invested in is your time. So I just fired it up, and to start off with, this game just looks absolutely gorgeous. If you've got an Xbox One X or an S, the HDR on this game really makes it pop. So the different difference between the kind of small TV and the big TV for me is just like kind of, it really does pop. But it's really interesting. So it's quite it's quite funny. You've gone from like Frostpunk, where everyone's dying and cold, to this game where everyone's dying and they've got the plague. But it does some things really good. So the whole game is really kind of a narrative action-adventure stealth game. Because it's very heavy on the story. It goes very heavy on the story, and the game is constantly kind of story beat after story beat. And the stealth mechanics are relatively simple, but as you're going through, you're kind of finding new items, you're crafting new items, you're being awarded new alchemy or anything like that, because it's a real kind of, like I say, it's set in France during the plague, so 1340 is when this game is set. So you're there, it's got the Spanish Inquisition are there, and they're hunting your brother, who there is something wrong with your brother, and I think the Spanish Inquisition kind of feel that he's the epicenter of the plague. So right at the start, your chateau, your castle is just being surrounded by the Spanish Inquisition, and they just kind of barge in. So they break into your castle, and then they try to kind of grab your brother. You escape into the French countryside, and then you kind of start your adventure. About kind of not even an hour into this game, it introduces something that I just thought was absolutely fantastic, and it was the rat mechanics. And I never thought I would say rat mechanics on a podcast, but because it's the plague, halfway through the kind of the second act, there's this rumbling in the ground, and then suddenly, like, bursting out of the ground is a whole bunch of rats. And this is, by all accounts, this is what happened kind of in rural areas, where when you would hear an explosion and rats would just kind of pile out of a hole. And so the rats they hunt in packs, and if you get anywhere close to it, it's just gruesome and horrible. But what happens is they really do react to light. So if you have a torch, or if you have there's one bit where there's a bit of a torch that you can move around, or if you light a fire, the rats will just descend. They would just kind of just disappear. But the moment the torch goes out, they would just descend upon you. So they really kind of are reactive. And so you're walking through this whole bunch of rats with a torch, and they are just moving out the way. And every now and then you'll see some trying to edge forward, but then the light scares them. As one time I did, my lantern went out, and I died very quickly after that. In just a pile of rats just engulfed me, and it was really cool. So not only do you have the guards are chasing you throughout this entire game, and I'm just over halfway at the moment in the game, so they're chasing you, but you also have puzzles where you go into an area where you've got to try and get around the rats, or use the rats to your advantage. Like, I had a guard who was walking, he was doing a round, and I needed to kind of get across the courtyard, but whenever I moved, he saw me and killed me. The moment a guard sees you in this game, it's over. Right. 9 times out of 10, it's over. I've been able to hide in tall grass and wait for their meter to disappear a couple of times, but most of the time it's over. And what I did was, because you play Amicia, and she has a sling. So what I did, this guard had a lantern, and he was kind of like brandishing his lantern and walking through these rats, and the rats were all kind of moving aside for him. So what I did was I popped out of the long grass and just hit the lantern with my sling, and of course his light went out, and then it was he went out, his lights went out because he was rat dinner, and it was just really interesting just to see that happen. And there's a few puzzles where you're knocking meat off a string, or someone who has been hung, you kind of drop the body onto the floor, and the rats will just go, and that will clear your path. But there's some really cool puzzles, and like I say, this game looks fantastic. Most of the game you're playing with your brother, who you can send off to do other things as well. So there's some, like, you can say, right, go over there, I'm going to do this. Yeah. And it's just really cool. And I haven't found myself frustrated at all with this game. It just, the stealth mechanics it's a very simple stealth mechanics, but it kind of works quite well. And like I say, I've now upgraded my sling, so I can now, just upgraded my skills really, rather than just my sling, because I can now do alchemy. So I can now, if I've got enough items that I picked up, you can craft things. So I crafted some powder that will make a guard go to sleep. So I managed to craft that. A guard that was quite tricky, walked up behind, press Y, sent him asleep, and then I can kind of get past him. There are, I've just done one that will kind of summon this material that just kind of grows, a bit like a sponge, and the rats are just drawn to it. So I can go, right, distract the rats over to the left while I dart over to the right. And it's things like that. So you're kind of, you're approaching an area, and it's a bit of a sandbox, and you're like, right, okay, I need to get over there, but how do I get there? And you kind of, there are many different ways to do it and to attack it. But it's just really good. And I've really found, so I just thought, I'll give it a try. I think Nicola was playing like Frostpunk, so I was just like, right, I'm going to give this a go, just to see what it's like. If I don't like it, then I'll go on. But I'm really liking it. So I spent a long time already on it. But I just want to kind of see this story out to its end, because it's a really quite gripping story.
It looks. I've just googled it because, as I say, I saw it come up on the push notifications for the Game Pass app the other day.
Got you.
And,
yes.
And I thought, and I think, and I remember you putting a picture up at the weekend of rats. But I'm just looking at. I've just literally googled the images page for it, and it does look. The images look. I mean, there's one image there where you've got two of them are walking through like a village. Is it nice and shiny? Is it sort of? Is it 4K, or is it enhanced for Xbox? Or
it is. It's definitely enhanced for Xbox, because the HDR is popping.
Right.
When I put it on the big TV, the HDR kind of sign comes up on the top right. So I'm guessing it's probably is Xbox enhanced. It looks great on the 1080p Xbox One X, but when I put it on the 4K one, it just looks stunning. I kind of called Nicola in. I was like playing it. I was like, come and have a look at this, because it's real kind of brown. It's autumnal. You're running through, and there's one bit where you're kind of, because I think it's like the 100 Years' War is happening, or something like that is happening around that time, and there is a battlefield that is just full of dead people, but the all around you're seeing like aqueducts that are kind of like still on fire from this war and things like that, and it's just so cool. The backgrounds are just absolutely incredible. But like I say, it's a very easy stealth mechanic. It's a great game to stick some headphones on and just play and listen, because they are constantly talking. They are kind of the little boy, your brother, he is kind of constantly kind of talking to you, and they are progressing the story whilst you're playing, and it's really good. I'm really enjoying it. Like I say, and also, as well as all of those new skills that you pick up, like alchemy and all of that, you can also go to a workbench. If you've got enough items, you can go to a workbench and you can upgrade your sling, so you can kind of make it so it's quieter, so guards don't hear you. You can make it so you can hold more stones in order to kind of like throw at the guards and things like that. And so that kind of works really well. I always find that I never have enough material to do the upgrade that I want, so I'm now kind of probably about 3 or 4 levels in. I then started just collecting, where every tent or every room I would like look around and see if I can, and it's flashing. It makes it kind of what you can pick up and what you can't. So now I think I'm about chapter 9 of 16.
Okay.
And
how long roughly is that? How long have you been playing it roughly?
I don't know. I was thinking about. Because I actually looked, because when I was playing it, I was like, "Oh, this game's good," and I thought it was going to go one way, and I was like, "Well, I must be near the end." And then I looked at the achievements, and it was like complete chapter 16, and I was like, "Okay." So I have been playing it so far for 6 hours.
Okay.
So I've been playing it for 6 hours. And like I say, I'm on chapter 9 of 16.
It's good. Say good value for money. Definitely good value for money. But no, that sounds like, I think I might have to download that when we finish up, because it's looking at it, it does look quite interesting. And as you say, it might be. I mean, I've got to jump back into Terminator Dark Fate, I think it is, because I finished playing a level on that and sort of fell out of it over Christmas, but I was quite enjoying that, so I might jump back into that and then pick this up again and have a play at the weekend.
Absolutely. Did you hear that Terminator? I saw a trailer, I think on like Twitter or something like that, where Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands have got a special kind of event happening, maybe over the weekend, where they've got Terminator is coming into that game.
Oh, really? Another game that Terminator's coming into, because there wasn't it.
Yes.
Gears it came into, wasn't it? And then there was another one, wasn't there? Yeah. But no, it's I've still got. I've got the movie sitting on the server, sitting next to me, and it's like I've got that at the moment, and Joker and a few others that I've just downloaded to my server, and it's just like just got to find time to get up here and watch them. So
just never go home. I tell you, I was thinking the other day. I was like, I'd love to kind of like force myself upon you, come over and watch Le Mans '66, because I watched that at home, and I just thought, and I'm kicking myself that I never watched that at the cinema. And I think it's like out on not Plex, it's out on Kaleidoscope and stuff like that. And I was just thinking that in your movie room would just be, in your den room would just be absolutely incredible, because that was one of my favourite movies of 2019.
Yeah, because it's since you're saying that, actually, I'm just looking now. Let me just log into my VPN and make it think I'm in America. Yeah, because I really did want to watch that, and there was a lot of people talking about it, saying that it was oh, there you go, new releases. Of course, as we know, it's called Ford versus Ferrari in America.
Yes,
it's not called Le Mans '66, and I won't make my Americanism joke of why they didn't call it Le Mans '66. But yes, $29 in UHD. So
wow.
They are quite pricey, but you are getting full bitrate movies. So,
but that movie was stunning. I've now watched it twice.
Yeah,
I've watched it twice, and and even at home, kind of with the surround sound. And the second time the first time I watched it with headphones, so that was awesome. And then the second time I watched it with Nicola, and so I had the sound up a bit, and that was just it was just so good. It was just so good. But I was kicking myself thinking I really should have gone to the cinema to see that, because I thought that in the showcase one at Blue Water in their X Plus would have just been. Oh, it would have been just so good. Well, it would have been so good.
I have just bought it, and it is currently downloaded. So I'll see in about an hour and 45 minutes. So I'll wrap this up.
I'll be there.
Driven down.
Once I do this, I'll pop over in my PJs. I've got some popcorn in the cupboard already.
No popcorn. I told you before, you got that popcorn in my cinema.
Oh, God,
I will. A bit like the Odeon in Tunbridge Wells, I think years ago. I will search you before you get allowed through the door.
What about, right, I've got a cone of shame that I've got for the Exploding Kittens, right? Yeah. So there's a game called Exploding Kittens, and if you lose on that, you have to wear a cone of shame. So I have a cone of shame. If I eat popcorn with that, then if I drop any, it goes into the cone of shame. What about that? That's a compromise, and you get to see me looking like an idiot you get to see me looking like an idiot anyway. Right, anyway, let's jump into the news. But before we start the news, don't forget you can rate, review, and subscribe to this very podcast for free on iTunes, Spotify, and also on YouTube. In this week's news section, Atari are getting into the hotel business, Media Molecule hold their own Oscars, and DLC is coming to Arkham Knight. That's right, Arkham Knight is getting some new DLC. Don't get excited about it. But Stu, the first piece of news, sir, is with you.
Yeah, I picked this up. on a few news feeds earlier. Everybody, I mean, it's one of those. I think we're going to be one of the other podcasts that talk about it, because everybody and every news outlets talking about it. But it's Atari gaming hotels are coming to 8 US cities, unfortunately not in the UK. Come on. With VR and AR setups. The first hotel is set to break ground this year in Phoenix, Arizona. Right. Atari is bringing themed hotels to 8 cities across the US with fully immersive experiences for every age and gaming ability, including the latest AR and VR. The producer of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle reboot series will head up design and development alongside GSD Group and True North Studio. They say when creating this brand of new hotel concepts, we knew that Atari would be the perfect way to give guests a nostalgic and retro meets modern look and feel with what we are going for. Let's face it, how cool will it be to say inside an Atari, said Napoleon Smith III. Ooh, that's a cool name.
What? He added the third himself.
Yeah, despite being a brand most associated with retro gaming, it sounds like you'll find plenty of modern gaming technology and cultures at Atari Hotel. On top of the aforementioned AR and VR setups, some hotels will host esports tournaments, according to Fortune You'll also be able to visit arcade bars and fine dining restaurants. The first hotel is set to begin construction in Phoenix, Arizona, with additional locations in Las Vegas, Denver, Chicago, Austin, Seattle, San Francisco, and San Jose to immediate follow.
Wow.
Interesting.
That sounds bloody awesome. That sounds
it does.
so
I mean,
good.
A few people were sort of saying, I listened to a podcast morning were saying, surely you do Las Vegas first. I mean, okay, that's probably going to be expensive. And looking at this is on Games Radar, looking at the hotel, it only looks like it's 6, 7, probably 8 or 9 stories high, which obviously isn't massive for a Las Vegas hotel. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if it actually does break ground and actually, what it ends up being like. It's quite intriguing.
The front has the Atari logo on the front of the hotel.
Yeah, in neon, red neon down the side of it.
The whole design of this hotel is like the Atari logo.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good idea. I mean, it's especially if they play on the retro side of it. It's you sort of like have the retro. You have the themed rooms, from classic Atari games. That could quite be interesting. But and especially with the esports side of it, because there was another story which I didn't pick up on, but I read, which was about how the esports leagues for I think it was Call of Duty and Overwatch are going to be helped by Google on YouTube. So there's obviously money like there is in football in sort of esports, and it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see the retro side of this, because there's certainly big love for Atari. You still can buy the t-shirts, and you can still play the games in many different forms. So it looks like it's another reason to go to the States alongside the Nintendo theme park.
That's just so cool. I just love the idea of that. Do they have any dates for the Vegas one yet, or is that just kind of
I think
Arizona first?
Yeah,
Let's
I think
see how that goes.
I think they're going to do Arizona first. So I'm just reading down the article, but yeah, I think it was just new concept, seeing how it goes in Arizona, and then roll it out from there. But see what happens. See, it's probably might be worth. Starting it at a smaller venue, potentially, not saying Arizona's small, before they obviously have to sink quite a lot of money to do a Las Vegas one. But I'll definitely be going to CES next year if they've got that there.
You imagine if that is there before CES. That's the only place the entire CES would want to stay at.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Everyone else would be. If Atari, if whoever's creating these hotels are smart, they would make sure that they open around CES and try and host something.
Yeah.
If they've got space for esports, they would try and host something there. And depending on how close they are to the Strip and where their location is and all that malarkey, you really wouldn't you? Yeah. You would try and kind of like, oh my God, that just looks so good.
It's
so cool.
It's quite interesting, definitely worth a look, but we'll see what happens. But over to you for the next one, Antony.
Yes, so 10 months ago, Media Molecule, they released Dreams. So they released the early access to Dreams, which is that PlayStation 4 game where you can create your own game within a game. So Dreams is kind of going down well, especially kind of in the creator space where people are kind of creating some great stuff. And not a week goes by where you see something pop into your Twitter feed that is kind of, made in Dreams and things like that. The actual game from Media Molecule comes out on Valentine's Day, comes out on the 14th of February. So Dreams comes to PS4, finally comes to PS4 on the 14th of February. But, as I say, 10 months ago, creators got their hands on it in this early adopters program. But at the weekend, Media Molecule did something that I just thought was absolutely fantastic, and they held their first award. So they're called the IMPYs, and I don't know why they're called the IMPYs. Now, I looked all over the internet. I was hoping that someone would say the first annual IMPYs, called the IMPYs because it's Media Molecule Productions or whatever. So the first annual IMPY Awards were held at the weekend. And the reason why I picked this up, and we'll go through some of the kind of categories, not so much the winners, because they will be nothing on an audio podcast, but just highlighting it. But I just love when you have a game studio, Media Molecule, Rare are also doing it, where they enhance, they celebrate their community, and by celebrating their community, they just kind of enhance their game and kind of make their game better. Rare are coming up with that Sea of Thieves Creators Program, where you can do something like that. Media Molecule are doing this, and it's just really good to kind of see that. Like, we're giving you the tools, people are creating awesome things, let's celebrate it. So Media Molecule held their first annual IMPY Awards, and I'll put a link in the show notes actually, because you can catch the rebroadcast. It's kind of on YouTube, it's on Twitch, and you can kind of see it, because some of the winners are absolutely fantastic. And I'll also stick a link to the PlayStation blog post as well, because what it does is it gives you some YouTube clips of some of the winners. So some of the categories that they had, and like I say, the winners, unfortunately, I haven't really kind of delved into Dreams. I'm looking forward to playing or just playing other people's content when it comes out on the 14th of February. But right now, I'm kind of sitting on the sidelines kind of looking at this stuff. So some of the categories that they kind of had was Most Helpful Dreamer. So this was someone who is helping other people with their creations, because I don't know if you know, Stu, but in Dreams, you could just you're an audio guy, yeah. You could just do the audio.
Right.
I could do the graphics, you could do the audio, James could do the movement. And then
sounds like a perfect game.
And Steve could do the vocals, so we would have this little Yorkshire whatever running around.
Pudding, your little Yorkshire pudding.
Yeah, little Yorkshire. So here we go. See, this stuff makes itself. So we'll have the soundtrack will be in Dolby Atmos. I'll design the look of it. James will make it move, and Steve will just kind of voice our Yorkshire pudding. So they had the Most Helpful Dreamer, and that's someone who's been helping the community to kind of get the best out of it and stuff like that. So they had the Most Helpful Dreamer went to someone called Neon the Coder. They had Best Curator, a community star. So this was someone who is kind of really showcasing what you can do in Dreams. Most Improved Dreamer, Best Visuals, and this was Best Visuals was a something that was created in Dreams called Outpost 60 by Brian Taylor.
Looks stunning.
And it looks absolutely incredible. And I don't think you can get hold of Dreams now. I think the early adopter window is closed, so you've got to wait until Valentine's Day. So I'll play it when I get back from my holiday, but I just can't wait. And so Best Voice Acting, they haven't heard Steve's Yorkshire Pudding yet, obviously. Steve. We'll get it. Best Character was Frederick the Fox, and Frederick the Fox is just awesome. Yeah. Like I say, this doesn't go down well on an audio podcast, but I'll put a link in the show notes, and you guys should really check it out, or check out the PlayStation blog. They also had Favourite Streamer, which will kind of obviously speaks for itself, and they also had the Aww Award, or the Aww Award, and this was for like the cutest.
It's brilliant.
Again, the cutest dream, and we will get this next year when they see our Yorkshire Pudding. They were going to be quids in, and then they had the funniest creation, best song, where people are just kind of putting their best sculpture, best animation, and then finally they had kind of best gameplay and creator of the year. And there's a whole bunch of, like I say, there's a whole bunch of awards that went out. But I just thought it's really great, especially a game that has spent the last 10 months really just trying to build this community. So when everybody else gets their hands on Dreams, and I could see Dreams maybe in March, April time being a PS Plus game or something like that. But when you finally do get that game, it's going to be chock full of built level, similar to Little Big Planet, because Little Big Planet was like that as well. You could play Little Big Planet, you could create your own, or you could just take on other people's creations and just kind of play other people's creations. So I just think this was fantastic, and it really just like warmed my cockles at the over the weekend when I was just kind of reading it and just really kind of just looking at all of these ones that they've basically showcased. They have showcased like 20. If you watch the whole thing, they do give you clips and everything. You're like, oh, I like that, and you're scribbling down the name of it, thinking, right, when Dreams comes out, I want to A, follow this creator, and B, check out do robots dream in electronic imps, but and that sort of stuff. So it's really cool. So it was a great little kind of online award ceremony, and like I say, really good to kind of check out these pages and check out these new content.
Yeah, I mean, I just scrolling down while you're talking. It's like Dream of the Year at the bottom is Pig Detective Adventure in Cowboy Town, and that just looks like a black and white, very moody, sort of on a train. It looks like it's on a train, and they're all sitting on benches by the side. But yeah, I'm definitely seeing. I'm definitely seeing, best animation for next year for our Yorkshire pudding.
Yes,
definitely. Best song I'm not sure about. I mean, I heard you and Daz sing years ago, and it didn't go down well. So yeah,
that was terrible.
Yeah, funniest creation. We could do that one. Yeah, that one's up there, and obviously best characters up there as well. So I think there's a strong team going on here. So yeah, I think next year we'll be millionaires.
We'll wipe the floor. We'll win. All the people will be talking about us. We will be urban legends. The Sparks won 10 IMPYs last night, and they were like, "That's kind of how it's going to be." We'll beat Fuzzy Snowflake for best animation. Oh yes, we will. So that's Media Molecule and their first annual IMPYs, which I just thought was just fantastic. And like I say, I'll stick a whole load of links in the show notes in gamesofthespark.com, so you can kind of check out those, get those quick links to there. Stu, what's the next one with you?
So we're going over to some Cyberpunk 2077. So just even though the game's not coming quite yet, we're getting more information. So Cyberpunk 2077 will show previous undisclosed content. So basically, after finding out in recent weeks that Cyberpunk 2077 was going to be delayed and that its multiplayer component won't arrive till 2022. At the earliest, we're due for some more uplifting news about where the game will be right now. Thankfully, it sounds like developer CD Projekt Red is ready to deliver. The company has confirmed it will be attending the Taipei game show on February the 6th. Where they will show some previous undisclosed content from Cyberpunk 2077. There is an update to the article which says it looks like we may already have a teaser for 2077 is going to show off at next week's game show. CD Projekt Red has put out a video for a Chinese language audience that shows a few brief snippets of gameplay with a behind the scenes look at game localization process. The video hasn't been officially shared by Cyberpunk 2077 to Western platforms, but you can check out it via its unofficial YouTube upload. So yeah, it looks like, looking at the footage, it looks like we are going to see some in-game footage. I'm not sure whether the in-game footage that we saw at the show last year, whether that actually came out, because that was more playing, wasn't it? They were playing the game. So, but yeah, I mean, it's looking at the pictures here, it looks stunning. And if that's where it is right now, I can't wait till September.
I mean, like I say, as we were saying last week, take your time, get it, because a game that it is the quality that we're getting here, we just need it to be good. We just want it. Don't need it to be good. We want it to be good. So it's kind of, and just take your time and bake it properly. But it does look so. Every time we see it, it just looks absolutely stunning. Yeah, I think the vertical slices that we've got at EGX, they were kind of just. I don't think they have been seen outside of like kind of trade shows. I think they showed that at Gamescom, they showed it at EGX and stuff like that, and it was just so good. It looked incredible. It just looked like a game you would just lose yourself into for a couple of months.
Well, I think that it's the looking at the picture here from Games Radar, the top picture. The detail, the shadowing just looks stunning, and I was listening to a conversation where they were talking about ray tracing in the new consoles, and they were showing like the ray tracing differences between something like Minecraft, from Minecraft with ray tracing, without ray tracing, and about how it it can pick out the light and dark and make details stronger and darker and more impact. So if that picture I see there is in-game footage, and then they add ray tracing to that at some point, maybe next year, because they said they're not going to support the new generation consoles straight after launch. They'll probably do an enhance for Series X and PlayStation 5. Yeah, I can't wait. You know, I often complain that we're always looking forward too much, but yeah, I mean that just looks stunning. I can't wait to play this game.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those games you really do just want to immerse yourself in, don't you? You really do just want to like stick the headphones on and just kind of just get into it and just kind of really enjoy it, you know. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. So that's Cyberpunk. Now on to Batman Arkham Knight. Now Batman Arkham Knight came out 5 years ago, and for anyone who has kind of been with the podcast for that long, you probably got fed up with me talking about Arkham Knight, but it's just got some new DLC, so which I thought really kind of made me chuckle. The DLC in question is Earth 2 Dark Knight skin. So unfortunately it's only a skin, but it's going to be released globally on PlayStation 4 on the 28th of January. So today we are reporting this on the 28th of January, and so this gives you Batman Earth 2. For anyone who doesn't know the DC universe, Earth 2 is within the DC universe. You have the multiverse, which is 52 versions of the of Earth, and Earth 2, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, they're kind of baddies. You know, it's a kind of reverse of that. So this is a kind of real kind of dark Batman. So he's very red. He's got red eyes. You know, this kind of like evil Bruce Wayne. Actually, I think it might even be Thomas Wayne. So this is coming. Now, what happened was, as a promotional skin, this was made available when you bought the Arkham Collection last September. So if you bought the Arkham Collection outside of the US, you got Batman Earth 2 as part of that kind of DLC or part of that collection, but it was never made available in North America. Now, in September, Rocksteady did say that we are going to be releasing this as a free download later. I think there was like a 6-month exclusive window or something like that, and they have done good on their word. So they said, as promised, this was a tweet from Rocksteady Studios, as promised last year, Earth 2 Dark Knight skin will be made available worldwide to players who own Batman Arkham Knight on the PS4. The skin will be available for download on the PlayStation Store from the 28th of January. So as of today, if you're still playing Arkham Knight, more power to you, then you can now play as Earth 2 Dark Knight.
No Xbox though. Boo.
Well, it's already out on the Xbox, because the Arkham Collection, which came out in September, was on Xbox. So if you got that, you would have got that skin.
Oh, would you? Oh, okay, all right, that's fine then.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's almost a bit of a kick in the teeth though to people who are waiting for WB Games to do something, because it's like finally, no, it's not the one we're waiting for. Damn you! So yeah, I mean you can never have too much Batman. You know, and it always, you know, whenever we get to talk about Batman and the DC universe, it always amazes me how geeked out you can get about it.
Oh, I could go so deep, but you would just feel you'd be able to hear listeners just turning off if we kind of got.
Have you approached the BBC about doing Mastermind on DC Universe?
That would be so cool, especially after the weekend going through all those comic books. Actually, I got quite excited today because Matt Reeves, who is directing the new Batman movie, put a picture on Twitter today saying day one of the Batman. So we've got a new Batman movie coming. They started shooting in London today, I think it can't be that long until we see a picture of James Patterson, you know, as Batman, because at some point they've probably already done that kind of pre-production look of the suit. So at some point, it's already happened. He stood there in the suit in Warner Brothers somewhere, and they've been taking pictures. It always kind of happens. So I'm sure very soon we're probably going to get that first tease, that first look of kind of the new Batman.
What do you think? What do you think about him as Batman?
I watched Justice League the other day, Sunday night. I watched Justice League, and I love Ben Affleck as Batman. He for me is just Batman. But even though Robert Pattinson's got a very unique face, you know, he turns up as Batman, you're like, Bruce Wayne, because but you know, so does Ben Affleck. You know, he has that big dimple in his chin. But I on paper it shouldn't work, but I'm sure if they're going to go with the year one Batman, which is one of the ones that I read at the weekend, if they're going to go with year one Batman, where Batman's very young, it's as the title says, it's like his first year as Batman, he's still making mistakes, he's like tripping over himself. if they go with that, I can see it kind of fitting in.
Yeah.
But I will wait until I kind of see him. Like I say, on paper it shouldn't work because Robert Pattinson's got such a distinctive face. But I kind of feel that he can pull it off. I think he can pull it off. What do you think? What did you kind of, when you heard the news, did you kind of feel that,
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit like, I think there's a lot of actors now that you're seeing who, obviously when they were kids, they're obviously older now. And I did hear it, and I was a little bit like, okay, that's interesting. But then I felt the same about Affleck. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm the same as you. I think I'll wait to see, when you start to get some pictures out. Maybe, obviously a trailer will be good at some point, and then but I'm not gonna cast my aspersions on it. I'm gonna see it. At the end of the day, it's superheroes. I will see it, and once I've seen it, I will sort of like, I don't do a lot of reading reviews. I see what people. You see quickly people say a brilliant film, fantastic film, or a load of drivel, but. I think, I've still not seen Star Wars, but like you were saying when I think you were talking with James and Steve, I think, about Star Wars, when you left the cinema and you were like, you're thinking like, no one could not like this. There's no way no one could not like this. And then you just look at everybody and everybody being derogatory about it, or, but then, I still haven't read that stuff anyway, because, like you, I think it's a lot of clickbait. But I was watching Dark Knight. They've had that on Sky quite a lot, so I've sort of dipped in and out of both of those over the last couple of weeks. Sort of watched it as I'm sort of like chilling out. Watched it as I'm going to bed, which is not really the sort of film you want to watch when you go to bed. But it did make me want to come up here, and watch them on the big screen again. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see what they come off.
No, absolutely. I'm probably predicting something like March, Empire magazine front cover. Just James Patterson standing there as in all of his Batman glory, and it will be really interesting to see what they do when you kind of see a new Batman. You always want to see what the suit is, what kind of where they're going, where they're pitching it. Now, if they went with Year Zero, which was the one before Year One, which came out much later.
Out again.
Yeah, which came out much later, which is a real kind of bizarre. He barely had a suit on. Right. It was almost like it was like a hoodie. So maybe you'll go 0-1 in this, but you will see. But the one thing that I do worry about this movie, even though he's got a lot better since then, is Colin Farrell as the Penguin.
Right. Yeah.
That worries me because, and I'm not just kind of retreading old ground, but Colin Farrell as Bullseye in Daredevil, with a fantastic Daredevil, Ben Affleck. I seem to just like Ben Affleck in whatever he does. But Colin Farrell was terrible in Bullseye. I mean, that movie wasn't great, but he was terrible, in that. So, but Colin Farrell has got a lot better as an actor. Kind of, you see Lobster or other movies that he's been in since then. He really is kind of getting a lot better. But I still worry because sometimes when an actor works on a comic book movie, quote unquote comic book movie, they tend to kind of their only frame of reference tends to be the 1966 Batman. And they kind of feel that they've got to be cammy and hammy and just kind of chew the scenery, and there's going to be a poof and a pow and a bang, and that's definitely what Colin Farrell did when he was Bullseye in that Daredevil movie. So I'm hoping that Matt Reeves won't let that happen. He'll take him aside and go, what the hell was you what the hell are you doing? Think grittier, because that's where we are with superhero movies now.
Definitely.
We've left that behind, where when anyone wanted to do a superhero movie they would just kind of ham it up. That's gone now. It's just, but yeah, I just can't. I'm excited because a new Batman movie is fantastic. It's a shame we won't get one with Affleck, but who knows? He could maybe turn up as an old, grizzly, old kind of Batman in a couple of years' time. We could do the Dark Knight Returns, Dark Knight Rises, or Dark Knight Returns graphic novel, and Affleck could come back when he's older.
So how many he did 2 in the end, didn't he?
He did Batman vs Superman and Justice League.
And how many did Bale do? Bale did 3. 3, wasn't it? Yeah. So is it? I suppose it's not. Because is it a bit like Bondy, where they can do as many as they want, or do they usually write a series? So have they planned more than one? the future ones, or is it just the one they're doing for the minute and they'll see how they go?
I really don't know anymore with DC.
Yeah.
With DC and Warner Brothers, they just seem to kind of make it up as they go along. One of the things I think this is really good that they've done is they seem to have dropped trying to connect with the movies.
Yeah.
They've dropped trying to be Marvel. Let Marvel be Marvel, and let DC and DC just need to do their own standalone.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll link up at some point, but just do your own thing and give me a Green Lantern movie. That's all I'm asking for.
Not much.
With Ben Affleck as Green Lantern. But anyway, Stu, that's Batman Arkham Knight DLC is coming out today. So jump onto the PS4 store, grab that skin. But that's not all. We've got one more piece of news, and that's with you, Stu.
Yeah, we're going Nintendo now. So we've been on all the consoles tonight, I think. So according to Nintendo Life today, I saw this literally just as we were about to pod, so I thought it was quite interesting. Players have now spent a combined $1 billion. I feel like Austin Powers, 1 billion, stroking my chin, on Nintendo smartphone games. So, and that's not including Pokemon Go.
What?
Yes.
What?
So new data from the App Store intelligence site Sensor Tower has revealed that Nintendo's library of smartphone titles has now generated more than 1 billion. You can't say it without thinking Austin Powers. 1 billion in
You are Dr.
spending.
Evil.
The figures combined showing from 6 games: Fire Emblem Heroes, Animal Crossing, Pocket Camp, Dragalia Lost, Mario Kart Tour, Super Mario Run, and Dr. Mario World.
Wow.
Which incidentally has assumed a mighty 452 million downloads between them worldwide. The majority of the income, $656 million, or 61% of the grand total, is from Fire Emblem Heroes alone, comfortably making it the highest grossing Nintendo mobile offering so far. So basically, looking at the chart below, it is Fire Emblem Hero at 656. Then you've got Animal Crossing Pocket Camp at 131. Then Dragalia Lost at 123. Then Mario Kart Tour at 86. Mario Run at 76. And Dr. Mario World at 4.8. So that one didn't do very well.
No,
but
poor little Dr. Mario made 4.8 million, but it's kind of like, it looks like the kind of ugly stepchild in this.
You look at this, and it's sort of like, you look at this, and actually it's quite funny because you've got Mario Tour in his cart just driving off to one side with a smile on his face, and then you've got Mario winking. Looks like he's winking down at Dr. Mario, and he's sitting up on his pedestal at 76, and little Mario Doctor is sitting there at 4.8, but he's still got a smile on his face and a pill in his hand.
Yeah. Well, having a pill in your hand and 4.8 million in your pocket, that'll put a smile on your face. I can't believe it. It's like 131 million on Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. Most of that's probably James's good lady wife Ali. But kind of seeing that on there, that is just fantastic. I mean, I'm hoping that Animal Crossing that comes out in a couple of months' time, comes out the 20th of March. I'm hoping that just kind of sells gangbusters. I'm hoping that shifts consoles. If it's raking in 131 million on the mobile, is that enough to be a system seller? It definitely looks that way, that it could be. I mean, Animal Crossing is such a fantastic game, but also it's really funny because I've played Animal Crossing, Mario Kart Tour, Super Mario Run, and Dr. Mario, but I haven't really kind of fired up Fire Emblem's Heroes at all, and that one is just 656 million.
Yeah, I mean that's just amazing, isn't it? That's so
Bananas.
far out there. So far out there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You were talking about Animal Crossing. I did notice that there are some limited edition Animal Crossing wireless controllers. Yeah, so I've just bring this up because they're available for pre-order. It's just brought up Game at the moment. I think they're exclusive to Game in this country, which is explore your desert island getaway in Animal Crossing's New Horizons on Nintendo Switch with the officially licensed Power 8 enhanced wireless controller, featuring KK slider design, motion controls, and mappable gaming buttons. I think there's 2 designs, but yeah, they look quite cute. Yeah.
Oh, stick a link in the show
Yeah,
notes,
will do.
please, so
Yeah.
I can have a look. I mean, actually, speaking of Animal Crossing, keep going. Last night, friend of the show, Manny, sent over a link for CD Keys, and right now on CD Keys they have a pre-order code for $38.99. So Animal Crossing will be $49.99 on the Nintendo store when it comes out, but CD Keys have a pre-order for $38.99. So that's a real cool saving there. So a 22% saving, if you will. And what you can do is you can buy the key, and then you'll get sent an email from CD Keys, but you can't download it yet. So they don't give you a product key for the Switch. You've just pre-ordered for where they do have the product key at $38.99. So I jumped on, grabbed that, and I thought, I can download Animal Crossing and have it ready, but it's not downloaded yet. They haven't got the key. When you try to download and redeem the key, it just basically says you'll be notified when this key is available. But that's available on cdkeys.com, and I'll stick a link in the show notes for that one as well, because Animal Crossing's not too far away. I did notice that HMV had a pre-order bonus as well, which was stickers for the back of your Switch. But I'm not putting a sticker on the back of my Switch. As much as I love it, I'm just not doing it. I won't. I can't.
Yeah, no, in America, these are live on Amazon at the moment at $50 each, released on the 10th of March. The first design is a green new leaf logo pattern and a Timmy and Tommy Nook graphic on the right-hand side. So yeah, so they look. I've got this off GameSpot, so I'll ping it to you and make sure we get it in the show notes for the listeners.
And for me.
Oh, and for you, yeah. Sorry, yeah. These are probably two controllers I won't buy, but they do look nice. I think I might delve into, after my comment last week, I might delve into Animal Crossing. I might save it for my holiday game this year, but they do look quite cute, especially if I dock it and give it to Molly to have a gander at.
Yes. Maybe this could be the one where Molly gets into gaming in a big way.
Yeah. The thing is, she's got to be allowed on the gaming consoles first, and it's like, I'll have to just buy her own. I keep on thinking about buying her a Switch Lite, but every time I go, do you want to play with my Switch and play some Mario? It's like, no, I'll play something on the iPad on Apple Arcade or something like that.
But it's probably just because she's not allowed to touch it.
Yeah.
So if you gave her her own one, she'd probably be like gaming But I think the only problem you got there is the whole kind of buying things twice, isn't it? Nintendo kind of don't seem to be as they're not as generous as the Xbox, where you can do that. But I think you can kind of have you can set Molly's as the primary or yours as the primary, but then Molly's would need to be connected to the internet, and it will ping, I think, every 20 minutes or something like that. And the moment it's not on the internet, basically says, I can't get to the internet, then you need to stop playing this game type thing. So I think it's kind of buyer beware when you're trying to do one game on two Switches, but it's definitely it's definitely doable.
No, I will definitely be having a look.
Excellent stuff, superb. Well, that's about it. We've run out of news stories, so that's about it for this episode. God, we haven't done a 1 minute 17 episode for ages.
It's getting cold here,
huge.
So I don't pay
exactly.
for heating.
You're like, speed it up, Chesson, speed it up. Yes, right. You could just burn another pile of cash behind you or something. So that's about it for this episode. Huge thank you for listening. Stu, thanks for pulling up a mic.
Thank you for having me again.
You're welcome. Don't forget, you can keep up with us at gamersoflostspark.com. You can also find us on Facebook and on Twitter. We're at Lost Spark Pod. Stu, where can people catch up with you?
You can find me on Xbox and PSN as General Letdown, and on Instagram and Twitter as Mr. Stuart Burgess.
Excellent stuff. For me, I am Chessman on Xbox Live and Nintendo Switch, PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network, and Chessman UK on Twitter. Don't forget, if you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That's feedback@gamersoflostspark.com. That's about it. Say goodbye, Stu.
Goodbye.